What's up, wrestling fans? We're the Hills Maniacs, and because the Royal Rumble is quickly approaching, it's, this coming Saturday as of this recording, and we're both looking forward to it. It's one of our favorite matches of the year from WWE.
Especially me.
A lot of people really enjoy it too, I think. So we're going to be talking about our predictions for who we believe will win the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. But without further delay, let's get started. So first, we'll start off with just some surprise entrants that we both think might happen or that we want to see happen. I think one of those is Big E. I think it might be time for him to return. He had the neck injury like last year or whatever. I think it's been almost a year, a little over a year at this point.
Yep.
And I think they're starting to build a rivalry with Imperium and New Day, so I think that's kind of what they're building to. Like maybe Big E will eliminate Gunther from the Royal Rumble, and then maybe he'll be the one to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. I think that'd be kind of a feel-good moment just to see Big E return in the Rumble.
Yeah.
And the crowd would really be into that and that kind of thing.
I mean, I also had Big E, and I think, we've seen people like Edge, Daniel Bryan, Paige all come back from career-ending neck injuries. So, I mean, I guess anything's possible.
Right.
Yeah, I guess Big E would be a good one to have here. So, one that I had, and I think it's been rumored for a while, is Brock Lesnar. I think he will come back. I don't think he's going to win because there's no storyline for him. But
right.
People want to see Lesnar versus Gunther. So even if it's for the Intercontinental title or not for the title, if Gunther drops it before Elimination Chamber, which he might do since he can't leave the country, I think Lesnar versus Gunther at WrestleMania is pretty much almost a guaranteed plan at this point.
Right. I mean, I had Lesnar too, but I forgot about the Intercontinental title aspect.
It doesn't even have to be for the title. The title doesn't have to be involved at all. Gunther could drop the belt first and then
just Lesnar versus Gunther would be fun.
But this is how they could set it up.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if they have Lesnar be the one that eliminates Gunther from the Rumble or whatever, Gunther's about to win and then Lesnar eliminates him, whatever, that would set that up nicely as well too, because that's what the Royal Rumble always does.
Yeah.
It sets up rivalries.
I mean, you think about it, it's the road to WrestleMania, the start of the road to WrestleMania. Right. So
and usually WrestleMania season has Brock Lesnar. Like it seems like every year they have to have some kind of program with Brock Lesnar going into WrestleMania.
I mean, he's a draw. People like him, so I guess.
And the last time we saw him, he was in that rivalry with Cody Rhodes. So maybe they could rekindle that too in the Rumble. Like he ends Cody's story, eliminating Cody, or Cody eliminates him, whatever. I also had Braun Strowman. We just haven't seen him in a while, and I think he got injured. I don't know if when he's able to come back or whatever, but I think it's about time that he comes back, at least eliminates a few people, maybe gets eliminated himself. I don't see him winning. These are just the appearances, special appearances or whatever. But
yeah, I forgot about Braun Strowman. Now, a couple more that I had, which is just kind of to be funny, because there's always that sense of like, is there going to be a commentator getting up from the commentary table and joining the match, So I have two. So I put Wade Barrett and Corey Graves. Corey has said that he has been medically cleared to compete, and he does want one more match, so this could be his way of doing that. And obviously Wade Barrett hasn't stopped training since he, I guess, retired from in-ring competition. And he said that before too, like if he wanted another run, he's still able to do that. He just, at the time, didn't need to be in the ring anymore.
I didn't even think of that.
Either one of them, I think, making an appearance. I put both, but I don't think both will be in it. But there's always that. You had the one year in 2012. You had Jerry Lawler, Jerry Lawler, Booker T, and Michael Cole all entered the thing. JBL got up in 2014 from the announce table. Booker T got up from the table again later on.
Michael Cole. So, I'm surprised you didn't say Michael Cole.
So there was. Well, he's done. He's undefeated at Mania. He don't need to wrestle anymore. Yeah. But on the lines of Corey Graves, I also had for the women's Rumble, Carmella. I know she just had a baby, but I think it's enough time in between. I can't speak to it. I don't know. But that she could possibly be back in time for the Royal Rumble should she want to come back right now.
Maybe her and Alexa Bliss.
And I also had Alexa Bliss on my... on my
hers was
list
a lot
too,
more
but
recent than Carmella's.
it could have been,
Carmella's
and I don't
been
know the recovery time and stuff. But yeah, I also had Alexa Bliss just as a thing. These are just predictions after all.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, these are just the surprise entrants. But
Yes.
one more male competitor that I have is Andrade. I've heard rumors that he's going to be returning to WWE.
He did leave
I think
AEW.
he's done with AEW now, so I think that would be interesting to see as well, like his return, his big return or whatever, and maybe he could set up a program there with somebody by eliminating him from the Rumble. Him and Santos, that might be fun.
The only issue I can see with that right now, though, like him coming back at the Rumble, is that Charlotte's injured. So he might not want to come back yet. He might have to stay home and help Charlotte because they are married.
I don't know. I'm sure she'd want him to. I heard that she pulled for WWE to bring him back. Too.
Yeah.
Like she was really like getting Triple H to bring Andrade back. So
Right.
I'm sure that won't stop him from still at least appearing in the Royal Rumble and starting some kind of program. For the women, I had AJ Lee.
Yep.
Like a lot of people are saying that too. Like she might come back at least just for one
and
off.
CM Punk kind of hinted at it too.
Since CM Punk is back and stuff, yeah.
So yeah,
and I also had
Yep.
Trish Stratus. Like I know she had her last match at Payback last year.
We were there too.
Yeah, we went to that one against Becky Lynch and stuff. But just to have like a fun like one-off appearance in the Rumble one more time or whatever, just to go out with a bang, sort of or something. I know she was in the first Women's Royal Rumble, and I don't know if she was in any after that. But just I don't know. It'd just be like a surprising appearance type thing.
Yeah. One more I had for the women. I had Naomi.
I had her too.
Because she is, from what I understand, she's done with Impact, and so there could be that chance that she comes back in the Royal Rumble, and then so if she's done with Impact, I would think that she could. I mean, heck, at this point they could just have her in it anyways, even if she's still with Impact Wrestling.
I also, on the same line as Naomi, I also have Sasha Banks. I don't know what her current status is. Like she was in New Japan, I think, for a little bit. I heard she was supposed to sign with like AEW or Impact or something, or Ring of Honor maybe.
She's been
as Mercedes Moné, but I don't know if she is now willing to return to WWE. You know, they kind of treated her and Naomi bad back when they were the women's tag team champions.
But that was Vince.
That's why they both walked out in the first place. They didn't like what their program was.
That was under Vince McMahon, with Triple H being in charge.
You never know. I mean, it'd be neat to see, especially Sasha return.
Yeah.
Maybe start, like everyone could start a feud. You know, if Sasha's going to continue in the company or just be like a one-off sort of appearance or whatever, just for fun, you know, something like that. I still think it'd be really shocking if they're going for that shock value like they always try to do with these surprise entrants and stuff. I've
heard rumors before that people were saying that like Zack Ryder might come back, but I don't know what his stuff is with like NWA and wherever the heck he's at now. And then also people have brought up possibly getting Stone Cold in the Rumble and setting up a feud with somebody. I guess people want to see CM Punk versus Stone Cold for some reason. I think LA Knight and Stone Cold would be fun, but
at least
I doubt Stone Cold's coming back, but that's what people have said. I have one more pick for special appearances. I'm just going to group them together, and just because I think it would be fun if they did this, and kind of, I wanted this match to happen at Survivor Series because it makes sense, Raw versus SmackDown, but they didn't do it. So I put Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, and they set up a match in the Rumble, set up a match between the two general managers at WrestleMania. They don't have to make it for anything, just for like brand supremacy. You know, at WrestleMania. I think they should have did it at Survivor Series. They did Teddy Long versus Eric Bischoff at Survivor Series in 2005.
Yeah. See, the difference with that, though, is those two weren't wrestlers.
Yeah.
At least Adam
These
Pearce
two were actual wrestlers. And they did look like they were setting it up because they kept showing up on each other's shows, and people would attack somebody from the other show and stuff, and setting up Survivor Series. It would have been perfect to have Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. It's probably not going to happen, but I thought it would be fun to just include that because I did kind of want to see it.
I didn't think of them either. Yeah. That's
anyways, true. for the thing, even if one of them's in it, I think it would be cool. But it's not going to happen.
Well, because then they could look at it like, you know, the superstars could complain like, oh, you were trying to,
like they did with Shane.
Me a chance at even if they build it to like a rivalry, maybe
like when they had Shane versus versus Kevin Owens.
Yeah, or like Nick Aldis facing like AJ Styles or something. Like maybe he eliminates someone from the Rumble, and that builds it up that way. Even if it's not Adam Pearce necessarily entering the Rumble, but then they could look at it like, oh, he used his status as the general manager to get himself a spot in the Rumble or something.
Right.
They could make it this whole thing or what, you know.
Well, that's why I said I think it'd be funny though too, because like Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce come out first and be like, yeah, look, I'm the Raw GM in the Rumble, and then Nick Aldis come out and he's like, oh,
Number
crap.
1 and 2, Nick Aldis.
Yeah, there you go. Number 1 and 2. They don't even have to last that long. Just have them in the.
That would be really surprising.
I think it would be fun just to see them, but who knows?
You have Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis in the Rumble. Then number 3 is Teddy Long or something.
And then Eric Bischoff is number 4.
Well, I don't know if Eric Bischoff. I think he's still with AEW.
Yeah.
But just or Booker T or somebody, some other former general
William
manager.
Regal.
William Regal comes back.
I should have put him down. I should have put him down. That was a good one.
William Regal.
The first woman that I picked that I want to talk about, and you mentioned her in your special appearances, I'm actually picking Sasha Banks as a winner. And the reason I'm doing that is because if you look at Rhea Ripley as the Women's World Champion, she's been undefeated since she won the title. Right. Nobody's been able to beat her, right? And so, obviously, I think they're setting up Nia Jax to be the one to beat her, but with the return of Sasha Banks, Sasha could be that person. It would be like Randy Orton coming back and beating Roman Reigns. Like you have to get somebody to come back in order for that, because nobody on this roster can beat them. So you bring somebody back, and I think Sasha winning the Rumble and going on to face Rhea could possibly happen. Now, she's not my number 1 pick for who I definitely think is going to win, right, but it's still a choice for somebody to win.
See, I was going to say, like, on the same line as Sasha Banks, I was going to say Bayley, but I feel like they're setting that up, and that's kind of one of those obvious ones, because it seems like they're setting up for Bayley to win the Rumble and challenge Io at WrestleMania.
Yeah. She's my number 1
breaking up
guaranteed pick to win.
Did you have her on your list?
I did, yeah. Bayley was, yeah. I think the way they're doing this with Damage Control, where like Bayley comes out and helps them in matches, but then when she's in a match, nobody's around, to help her. I think it's just that way that they're setting it up for her to. She's pulling a Randy Orton when he was part of the Wyatt family, and Bray won the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber. Orton had won the Rumble before that. And then he's like, oh, I'm not going to face Bray. Oh, wait. Yeah, I am.
But especially if they break them up before the Royal Rumble or whatever, which it seems like they're starting to do. Or it'll come down to like her and like Dakota Kai or something, and she'll eliminate, or even her and Asuka.
See, but I think Bayley is smart enough to know that she can't beat Rhea. Nothing against Bayley, but she's not going to beat Rhea Ripley.
Anyway. Because if they turn on her, there's more story there. Like, oh, well, I'll go after Rhea. Or they do draw it out until close to WrestleMania, where like they finally turn on Bayley, and then she decides, oh, well, I'm going to go after. The whole time she's saying she's going to go after Rhea or whoever's the champion by that point. But then she'll be like, I'm going after Io instead.
Right. Either that, or they have the setup in Elimination Chamber. And something could happen, and then Bayley wins the Chamber and gets a shot at the title or something, if she doesn't win the Rumble. But another pick that I had was the one I mentioned earlier with the Sasha stuff, is Nia Jax.
I had her too.
Of course, because I mentioned that I think the plan was for them to actually put her in the storyline to beat Rhea for the title. And so you can do that at WrestleMania by having her win the Rumble or win Elimination Chamber, depending on if that's for a title shot.
See, and that's the thing. It's like, yeah, they're building Nia up for that. I just don't know if everyone would be okay with like Nia Jax winning the Rumble, because I mean she wasn't even in the company until like last year. Triple H brought her back, and I guess that's what the plan is. I don't know if it would get the same kind of reaction. I mean, you'd get the heel reaction, I guess, if Nia beats Rhea. That's what's weird about this whole Rhea Ripley thing. Like, everybody loves Rhea Ripley, but she's on Judgment Day where they boo everybody else. But
it's
I think if she lost her title to Nia Jax, I think everybody would boo, which I guess that'd be the first time in a while, I guess, that a Royal Rumble winner has been like a heel that would go to WrestleMania and actually win the title where everyone could boo or something. I guess. I mean, it's been, I guess, Brock Lesnar, but he was kind of cheered 2 years ago when he won, and Cody was cheered last year. So it's been a few years since we've seen a heel win, especially on the women's side, I guess. 'Cause it always seems like it's like the good person wins the thing.
Even Rhea was the fan favorite when she won.
Another one for me. I said this last year too because I just want to see it happen. I don't know why they haven't done this yet, but Shayna Baszler. I especially thought when they had Ronda Rousey as women's champion, they should have had Shayna win the Rumble and have them two. Their match that they had at SummerSlam last year should have been a WrestleMania thing, but I don't know. I just feel like they're not utilizing Shayna Baszler as much as she could be used. She's in a tag team with Zoe Stark now, and
which is fine. But
I know. They keep putting her in tag teams instead of letting her be a single star. She should be the one to beat Rhea Ripley. I feel like, and it'd be a nice callback because I think Rhea beat Shayna for the NXT Women's Championship before Shayna came up to the main roster, and then Rhea came up later because they had that feud in NXT. Yeah. So it'd be a nice reverse of roles where Shayna beats Rhea for the title, and I think those two could have a really good hard hitting match at WrestleMania. But I don't know. I just feel like they're not using Shayna as much as they should be, and aren't recognizing her as the truly dominant force that she could be. If she's what they wanted Ronda Rousey to be, that's literally what Shayna Baszler is, basically, in my opinion.
Yeah, she's definitely been underutilized since she joined WWE. At least came up to the main roster.
The main roster.
I also had Shayna Baszler on here. I can't believe that. I don't think. I mean, she might have fought for the title at one point, but it wasn't very memorable if she did.
Didn't she fight Alexa Bliss for the title?
I think
it was in 2020 at WrestleMania.
Yeah, sure.
Because she won the Elimination Chamber.
I mean, she was the first two-time NXT Women's Champion. So you would figure they would use her when she came up to the main roster, and obviously
she kind of got lost in the fold, I guess.
And then even when she was in one of the Elimination Chambers one time and eliminated everybody just to lose the match, I don't even remember who she lost to, but so you're definitely underutilizing Shayna Baszler.
On the same note as Shayna Baszler, I also had Zoe Stark. I feel like, they were starting to build her up into a world title program. They had her in that, I think it was the six-pack challenge or Fatal 5-Way or whatever against Rhea Ripley. I think, was that at SummerSlam?
Yes.
Or more recently than that. I can't remember. Or the Saudi show. No, it was the Saudi show, I think.
Sure.
They had a Fatal 5-Way or whatever. That's what Nia was in, and I think Shayna was in it, and Zoe and all them. And I think Zoe has improved a lot in the ring lately. They haven't done much with her since, but I think having her be this breakout star in the Rumble and then win the Rumble, would be a big moment for her. And then I also have Shotzi. I don't know. I feel like just her going after Io, that kind of feels.
I mean, it makes sense.
Building up too.
My last pick I have is a former Rumble winner. I don't really think there's much of a setup right now, but I'm going with Becky Lynch. Just because she's Becky Lynch. For a second win. I know she's kind of been feuding with Rhea a little bit, and she could jump ship and go after Io. It's up to her, but
she did kind of participate in Survivor Series with she teamed up against Damage Control. So
I don't think they're gonna have Becky win again. But at the same time, I think I'd be okay if she did win.
See, I think they should save her for the Elimination Chamber because Becky has yet to be in an Elimination Chamber match.
So she's probably going to win.
So having her win the Elimination Chamber and going after Rhea that way might be a better thing.
Because Bayley will win the Rumble, go after Io, and then Becky win
that could be how they're setting it up. And then finally, I have Jade Cargill. Which I was gonna put her as my surprise entrant, but then
she hasn't done nothing.
That's a way to build a big star. Is have her come in. This is her first official match in WWE.
I mean,
they've been showing her on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or they at least were a month ago.
I was gonna say, do we know what brand she's on? Actually on?
No, they haven't announced that yet either. So to have her come out as this surprise and win the Royal Rumble, then that's how she can choose which brand she wants to go to. Having Jade come in and win the Rumble and then win the world title at WrestleMania, she'll be the second ever women's world champion, beating Rhea for the title. And I think she could go on this big dominant run. I like the work that they did with Jade Cargill in AEW too. They had her go undefeated for over a year.
Yeah, so to have her beat Rhea's streak would be
as one of the champions.
Kind of ironic.
Right. and then she could go like the whole year as the world heavyweight champion until someone could beat her, or whatever, But there's lots of potential there. I just feel like as a surprise entrant and actually winning the Rumble would do wonders for Jade's career here in WWE.
I forgot about her mostly because she hasn't done nothing yet.
They haven't shown her yet. But I mean that's a nice
that's not a bad pick.
And now we'll get into the men's. My first prediction for the men's is actually Gunther. I was kind of hoping like he wouldn't be Intercontinental Champion going into the Rumble match, but I think it's looking like he's going to be because they haven't really announced he's going to have a title match, nothing, at least as far as I know. Maybe they're setting something up where he will have the title match at the Rumble, but especially after his performance last year in the Rumble, he was number one?
Number one and went to number 30.
And he went the whole way. He had basically a huge like one-on-one match with Cody Rhodes at the end of the Rumble and stuff.
Right.
As the final two, and then Cody, of course, won. So kind of to see Gunther get that redemption. And honestly, I feel like he's the one that should dethrone Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title, too. Like, Gunther lose the Intercontinental title.
Well, and that's the issue,
how dominant he's been, is have him go and win the World Heavyweight title. Like, he looks like a World Heavyweight champion.
See, I think their issue now is that, like, if they're going to have Gunther fight Seth for the title, he still needs to be the dominant Gunther that he is. So to give him the IC title and then have him lose it and then challenge Seth, it's like he kind of loses that, like, dominance of being who he is, because he lost the Intercontinental title.
Well,
so, like, I don't think he should be the one to go after Seth because he won't be dominant once he loses the Intercontinental title. But I had Gunther on here too, and I think the main plan at this point is for him to face Brock Lesnar at Mania.
That
so
would be
I think he'll lose the belt. I think he'll lose the belt to somebody else. But hey, Lesnar's never held the Intercontinental title.
Lesnar beating him for the Intercontinental title.
Lesnar, but I don't think Gunther versus Seth is going to happen yet. I'd be okay with it. Like
Gunther versus Roman.
Gunther versus Seth for the world title would be great.
Versus the Bloodline. There you go.
They kind of sort of hinted at that once before, but they never did it.
You could do that too. At the very least, I do feel like Gunther will be world champion by the end of the year at some point. Maybe he even wins it at SummerSlam or whatever.
A world champion, not necessarily world heavyweight.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like he should be the world champion by now, even if it's not through winning the Royal Rumble and going to WrestleMania and that kind of thing.
I agree that, like, I put Gunther on here even though I think he's the one that I'm at, like, the minimal, like, he has a chance of winning. Because of the storylines that have been set up already, I just don't think they're going anywhere with Gunther winning the Royal Rumble. I'd be okay with it if he did, but I don't think it's going to happen. But, of course, my number one pick to win the Rumble, the same one I pick every year, and I'm going to keep saying it till he wins, is The Miz. I love The Miz, first of all, and, he needs to just – it's the one thing he hasn't done in his career, and he needs to – there's no setup for it, and I don't really care if there's a setup for it. Miz needs to win the stinking Royal Rumble. I am kind of joking, but at the same time, I think The Miz should win the Royal Rumble at one point.
My next pick is actually Sami Zayn for two reasons. First of all, I feel like, he hasn't really done anything. Like, he hasn't been a major star lately. I know they did make him like a big star with like the Bloodline stuff and winning the tag team titles and everything, but he hasn't been a world champion in WWE yet. And I think that this is the perfect way to do it. Have Sami Zayn win the Royal Rumble and either go on and beat Seth Rollins or whoever for the World Heavyweight Championship, or you finish his feud with Roman Reigns officially and have Sami go to WrestleMania and finally beat Roman. I know he only fought Roman once, I think. It was an Elimination Chamber last year. I don't think he fought him again after that or before that or whatever. But when he broke off the whole Bloodline stuff, it'd be a way to kind of bring that back in and actually have that feel-good moment. Like Sami Zayn could do it. It was just all the stuff around Roman, Roman getting help and everything that cost Sami that match. So having him finally be the one to beat Roman after all this time, that would, either way, I think it'd be a feel-good moment and a big surprise for the fans to see him finally capture a world title, whether it's the World Heavyweight title or the Universal title, in WWE at WrestleMania. And I feel like you can do that through winning the Royal Rumble.
But talking of the Bloodline and talking about finishing the story, I guess my pick for the second year in a row winning the Royal Rumble would be Cody Rhodes. I don't want to see it because, like you, I hate seeing
repeat
winners
in a row.
Especially 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
But I think that the way they're setting it up, I think Cody Rhodes could possibly pull out the victory.
Right, and I do like the way that they're building up all these different rivalries, like surrounding not just Cody Rhodes, but like CM Punk and everybody in the Rumble on Raw and stuff. Like you got Cody and Punk could have a match against each other at WrestleMania just for whatever reason. Like if Punk eliminates Cody from the Rumble, that costs him his chance to finish the story. If Cody eliminates Punk from the Rumble, that ruins Punk's chance of coming back and winning the world title again.
And sets up
you got the Drew McIntyre stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
He's hating on Cody for bringing Jay to Raw, and he now has sort of feud with CM Punk. Like he thinks Punk is overshadowing him when Punk just came back, and Drew's been here all these years holding the company up, and that sort of thing that he keeps talking about.
Right.
So I like that they're doing all that in the Rumble, and that's kind of why I feel like Cody won't win the Rumble. But the next person I do have on my list is actually Jey Uso. I want that Jey Uso Roman Reigns match one more time. Maybe Jey faces Jimmy at Elimination Chamber to build, or Solo even, to build to the match at Mania. Then you finally get Jey Uso dethroning Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania and cementing his status as main event Jey Uso. Or you go the other direction and have him win the World Heavyweight title and still being main event Jey Uso. He can represent Raw as the World Heavyweight Champion, show Roman, like, look, I'm just as good as you are. I am a good singles star as well as a tag team guy.
I mean, he did have a decent match with Seth for the world title.
I feel like they're building him up as this big star, so they might as well go with it and have him win the Royal Rumble, and then from there they can build whatever storylines they want out of that.
I mean, yeah, it works, because then you could have, like you said, with Jay being like, hey, look, I'm the star on Raw, you're the star on SmackDown. I don't think Jay going back after Roman when he's done so much by himself, I don't think he really cares right now if Roman likes him or not, because I know he'd want to prove it to Roman and be like, hey, look what I can do on my own if he wins the world title from Seth or challenges Roman for the title. But I don't think he needs to go back to that, especially not when Jimmy and Solo are still with Roman, because that's basically what cost him his shot before was Jimmy and Solo.
Right. And
as of right now, I don't know, they might split them up at some point. But as of right now, Jimmy and Solo are still with Roman, so the bloodline is still kind of intact.
And I could see an interaction between, like, at least Jay and Jimmy in the Rumble.
They should fight at Mania.
And, I mean, they have been, that has been pitched, I think, where they will have Jay versus Jimmy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's Raw versus SmackDown, which is normally reserved for Survivor Series. But I think the story is there, one of them eliminates the other from the Rumble, whatever, Maybe Roman tells...
Or Solo eliminates both.
Roman forces Jimmy and Solo, like, one of you needs to win the Royal Rumble and stuff, and, like, go bring the other world title home or whatever, and then, like, they get eliminated by Jey Uso, and that sets it up as well, or, so, something along those lines. But I think Jey winning the Rumble is also a good way to cement him as that next big main eventer.
I could see it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
And still speaking of the bloodline, I also have Solo Sikoa. I just think, like, they're building him up even more so than they are with Jay, and especially with Roman telling Solo, like, he's going to be next in line to be the tribal chief. I think the story they're going to go with is that's getting to Solo's head. So now, if he wins the Royal Rumble, I feel like maybe it'll be almost like I mentioned, like on Roman's orders. Like, I want you to go win the world title, or go win the Royal Rumble, go win the other World Heavyweight title, and
so then the
you can be part of the bloodline,
everything.
and we have both world titles. Yeah. But Solo's gonna be like, nah, I'd rather beat you.
Kind of like Bailey and Io would be.
Yeah, I'd rather dethrone you and be the new tribal chief, like you said I was.
With it being the bloodline. Right, and with it being kind of like I don't know how the tribal chief stuff works. Like, I don't know if they can choose their successor as tribal chief, or if somebody has to beat him for it. But either way, I think there should be somebody new sitting at the head of the table. And I think that is my fourth pick my fourth pick for the Royal Rumble winner, a former Royal Rumble winner himself, who just showed up on Raw not too long ago and said, should he sit at the head of the table, I think they're finally setting it up for Roman Reigns to drop the title to The Rock. And whether or not The Rock wins the Rumble, I think The Rock coming out and costing Roman the title at Rumble in the Fatal 4-Way, or costing
Elimination Chamber or something,
or costing Jimmy or Solo or both the Royal Rumble match itself, which goes against Roman's orders because Roman said that they should win the match and then they don't because of The Rock, just furthers that setup. And then even if The Rock doesn't enter the Rumble or doesn't win the Rumble, he still has a setup for fighting Roman at WrestleMania and finally dethroning Roman Reigns as world champion.
See,
so
that's the thing,
I
though.
think cool.
I agree with. There's a lot of people that say like that feud doesn't need the Universal Championship involved, and I agree with that because I think that would be wasting an opportunity for someone else to win the Royal Rumble if The Rock came back and won. And even if
they did it with Edge,
even if The Rock is the one to beat Roman for the title, that also feels like a waste. So I think it's better if they just have The Rock cost Roman the title rather than like win the Rumble and then go and beat Roman for the championship.
I don't think The Rock needs to win the Rumble to challenge Roman, but I think Rock versus Roman should happen at Mania.
At the very least, having him as a surprise entrant, I think would be surprising, I guess. But I don't see him winning the Rumble totally. But my final pick is probably your final pick as well. But it's L.A. Knight.
That's not my final.
Oh wow, really?
No, because I went with the obvious one. See, my problem is that I like L.A. Knight, if you can't tell. But I think L.A. Knight or Randy Orton are going to win the belt in the Fatal 4-Way. At the Rumble. So if LA Knight wins the title, then obviously he's not going to be in the Rumble. And then there's also that conflict of like, which match are they doing first? Is the men's Rumble coming first? Because LA Knight's not going to enter the Rumble, risk getting injured before his Fatal 4-Way with Roman. Or does which I think that'll be the main event, the Fatal 4-Way, because it's Roman Reigns. No, it's Roman Reigns. That'll be the main event. And then if the WWE title match does take place before the men's Royal Rumble, is LA Knight still going to be able to fight in the Royal Rumble after the Fatal 4-Way match, especially if it's directly before it? Like if it goes WWE title match then men's Royal Rumble, I don't think anybody in that Fatal 4-Way will be in the Royal Rumble. I'm not saying it can't happen. Lesnar did it, and then but he fought in the first match of the night against Lashley, dropped the belt to Lashley, and then joined the match, which ended the night. So he had that entire 3-hour period to rest, whereas like LA Knight would have like 10 seconds between matches.
I know, but I mean, I just feel
that's why I didn't pick LA Knight.
I'm surprised by that because I thought you would, but that's the match that they had with LA Knight versus Roman. Like, no one thought LA was going to win that match.
No, but this is a Fatal 4-Way. So he could pin someone else.
But the building up to a match between Roman and LA Knight at WrestleMania, like that was the precursor, their first match, and now LA Knight can actually prove that he can win because he almost did win. Like Roman didn't kick out
for Solo and Jimmy. Yeah, he would have.
Roman didn't kick out of LA Knight's finisher when he went to pin him. Just the ref didn't see or got distracted or whatever before the 3 count, or Solo got, I forget exactly what happened in that match.
Solo got involved in something.
Yeah, Solo got involved. So I think having LA Knight actually win the Rumble, first of all, that's your big moment. That's your big, the picture with him pointing at the sign and that kind of stuff. And since he reminds me of like Stone Cold so much, like I feel like there's more in store for LA Knight. And even if they don't have him go after Roman, have him go win the World Heavyweight title from Seth Rollins or something. That they could have a big match too. I do feel like LA Knight is ready for the main event of WrestleMania.
I'd agree.
To win the Royal Rumble. And the best way to build a star, I think, like I said with Jade Cargill even earlier for the Women's Rumble, I think the best way to build a star is have them win the Royal Rumble and then go beat the champion at WrestleMania.
I just don't think had LA Knight not been in the Fatal 4-Way, he definitely would have been on my list for people to win. That's the only reason LA Knight's not on here. If he wasn't in that match, he would definitely be my number 1 pick. But I think I have to go with the sentimental favorite, the returning CM Punk the person that I think everybody assumes is going to win the Royal Rumble, or at least most people. And it is the obvious choice, but sometimes you have to go with the obvious. And CM Punk's never won a Royal Rumble. He'll win the Rumble. He'll go on and challenge Seth. I don't think he'll go after Roman because they're setting up other stuff for Roman, I think. Even if, or whoever wins the WWE title. Now, if somebody else wins the WWE title at the Rumble, then Punk could go after them. Like if Orton wins, you know, you could go after that, or you could see LA Knight versus Punk, or AJ Styles versus CM Punk, which I think would be a cool match to see in WWE. But I don't think he'll go after. I think he'll go after Seth, because they kind of built that up, you know, with like Seth was upset that CM Punk came back and stuff. So I think CM Punk is the sentimental favorite to win. I think he's everybody's pick to win, or at least the majority of people's picks to win. So yeah, CM Punk is my number one, and I'd be okay with it. I don't see. That's the issue though too, is that he's one of those people that returned, and then he's just going to come in and win the Rumble, and it takes away a spot from somebody. Yeah, but he's taking a spot away from somebody that's been here for a while, you know. And yeah, Cody did it, so I guess it can happen.
But it wasn't
it's
his
just
return year, though.
Yeah, Cody came back again.
Yeah.
You know, he had already wrestled in WWE before that. But this would be CM Punk's first match back in WWE. So I kind of want Punk to win, and I kind of think that's the direction they're going with Punk winning, to set up him versus Seth at Mania. But at the same time, I don't know, and who knows? Maybe we'll get a CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Becky and Seth at some point. But CM Punk is my number one pick to win the Royal Rumble. Sorry, Miz.
See, I think the problem with that, though, is that the CM Punk and Seth Rollins feuds already has like enough build for it already.
True.
And the reason that they hate each other and that kind of thing, where I don't think they need to have the Royal Rumble involved in this. Like, I think just Seth either Seth challenging CM Punk, like, I need to beat you at WrestleMania to show everyone why you shouldn't have come back, or Punk just challenging Seth for the title. Like, I think that's big enough where that can be your build. Like, Seth that
makes sense.
Punk just challenges him without having to win the Royal Rumble, and I feel like it's too soon, because Punk just came back, and
that's what I mean.
His first match, I mean, he did have a match at a live event or whatever, but technically his first match back in WWE is going to be at the Royal Rumble, in the Royal Rumble match. So to have him win it like on his return, I don't know. I mean, it has happened in the past, like you said. You know, they did it with Edge and Cody and that kind of stuff. But I just feel like Punk's maybe not at that point where he needs to win the Royal Rumble. He's already this like legendary status where he could just basically what Brock Lesnar is, you know, where Brock could just come out and challenge someone for a title and doesn't need to win anything in order to get that shot. I think that's kind of the same level that Punk's on, where he's a big enough draw for the fans that he could just come out and challenge for the title, and that's all the build you need for it. So there you go, guys. Those are our picks for who we think will win this year's Royal Rumble matches. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, and be sure to check out our most recent WWE video that we did. We did a Royal Rumble trivia like last week or whatever when it came up. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. But thank you for watching the video, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.